Okay, well, good evening, guys. Thanks to everyone who could make it despite this late Friday time slot, which has come into conflict with uh, one of the speakers' commutes. So, si Neri will be a little late, but she's on her way here. Yeah, thank you for coming to everyone here. We were gonna be talking about Taylor Swift's new single. No, I'm kidding. We are going to be talking about just the new movement of queer media, um, specifically print publishing. And, well, it's an interesting word, queer, right? I think there have been negative associations with it, especially here in the Philippines. We don't use it very often. But I think for me personally, I've had a problem with the word growing up. It's something that I tried to avoid because I was exposed to media that used it pejoratively. Siguro in movies, you'd hear it used like the word fagot, diba? Whether it's by unforgiving relatives or school bullies in movies, they would use it with such disdain, contempt. You know, so I tried to avoid that word. And then later on, when I was studying more about queer history, especially in places like New York, the word queer was used by gay men as a way to kind of separate themselves from fairies. Fairies were more boldly effeminate gay men in the 50s and earlier. So if you were queer, yeah, you liked men, but you weren't flaming. You were a lot more masculine. And, you know, so it didn't help any in how I saw the word queer. But you know, as you learn more about queer culture, and as you embrace your own identity, you become more exposed to like the diversity in the queer community. And as roles have diversified in media for queer people, you begin to see types that you can identify with. And you become a lot more comfortable in the term, I think. But, okay, yeah. Before anything, the reason why I'm here talking about it is because we publish a magazine called Team, and it's a gay Filipino men's magazine. And you know, as we've been publishing Team for the past 2 years, but as I learn more about our subjects and as queer culture evolves in the Philippines, I see people who are more comfortable as well with the term and just the endless possibilities in how people express their love and their identities. And, you know, people who used to identify as gay men now embrace the word queer because there is, it doesn't limit how they express themselves. For example, a cis gay man can fall in love with a cis female who used to identify as a lesbian. And this is someone I encountered recently. So they're both now more comfortable in the term queer. And, or you know, a cis straight guy, a cis straight guy can fall in love with a trans woman. And so it just emphasizes how queer has become more relevant as an umbrella term that tells you, should you be a little more complicated than most people, it tells you, I've got you. You're fine. You know. The thing is, we've got guests here today who have shown, you know, the endless possibilities in being queer through their work in very creative and beautiful ways. Allow me to introduce our speakers today. We've got Richard Mercado. He's an illustrator and he creates comics. Yeah, give it up for Richard. He also won the Loyola, Loyola Schools Award for the Arts this year, no? Yeah, and he created comics like Uy Si Crush and It's More Than That, which are comics that tackle coming out, queerness, and budding love. And beside him, we've got we've got Electromilk. Would you rather Electromilk? Yeah.
Shin is fine.
And also his name is Shin, but he goes by the name Electromilk. A writer and illustrator whose recent work includes All the Pretty Stars Shine for You, My Love, and Good Boy. These are zines that deal with gay romance and maybe some insecurities as well within the gay community. Give it up for Electromilk. See, Neri, as I said, is gonna be a bit late, but she's a professor in the Filipino department of UP, where she's also pursuing her PhD in creative writing and Filipino with an MA thesis of lesbian-themed short stories. She also published the children's book, Ang Ikaklit sa Aming Hagdin, about a child with two mothers. So we'll reintroduce her again later. And beside me is Charlie Samuya Veric, who holds a PhD in American Studies from Yale, and he's penned best-selling poetry collections that include Boyhood, a long lyric, which is published by the Ateneo Press. Welcome, guys. So before anything, let's allow the audience to become more familiar with your work. I'd like to know how your recent projects, especially ones that deal with queerness, how they began. For example, for you, Charlie, you've got Boyhood, a book of poetry. Could you tell us about the beginnings of this project, how the idea to put this together came about?
Okay. So this is like my second collection. It's published by Ateneo de Manila University Press. It came out in February this year. It's a book about coming of age, in particular growing up on an island which remains nameless actually in the collection, but the island is inspired by my place, my birthplace, Aklan. When you look at the collection, it's divided into sections, and the sections are all about the places in my hometown. So you begin by crossing the bridge, and then you pass by the rivulet, and then you get to see the market and the characters in the market, and then from the market you go into the neighborhood where I grew up. Essentially it's a section on the houses and the people living in those houses, and then from a section on the neighborhood you go to the meeting tree, essentially the place where the boys of the neighborhood would drink. And then from there you move into the hometown, not hometown, rather the plaza, and then from the plaza you end with the cemetery. So the collection ends with a section on death. I actually forget mentioning the section on sexual awakening, a boy encountering his lover. The book has a pink cover, and you can never go wrong with the message, I suppose. So when we were thinking about the color, we opted for the most shocking kind of color, and we thought that pink would do it justice. The book also contains the art of Gwen Kalubayan. So in my collections, for instance this one as well, what you can see is a consistent pattern, and it's all about the use of photography in the production of the book. So I'm really invested in the idea of the book as an art form, and I guess that's where the queerness comes in. And I take queerness to be creativity, queerness to be beauty, queerness to be art. So I'm really invested in pursuing the ends of art in the production of the book. So for instance, in my first collection, it's called Histories. And you notice, for example, that the titles tend to suggest masculinity, like history, not her story, for instance, or boyhood, not queerhood. My sense is that I'm interested in reclaiming those terms and in queering them indirectly, I suppose. So here you have the photograph of the German photographer Bettina Flittner. If you look at the sections, the section breakers are photographs as well, and they were made by my former student at LaSalle, a photographer. So when I was working on the collection, I guess my voice is loud enough. When I was working on the collection, I knew that he was a photographer, and I had seen his works, and I wanted to promote him as well. Maybe my queerness also has something to do with the fact that I don't associate myself with literary coteries. We know that literature in the country is dominated by coteries, by writers groups, and I'm not interested in joining any of those groups. So I guess that's queerness, the dominant group in the literary production. So Daniel Roque, a little-known photographer, a former student of mine, but when I saw his work, I was fascinated by his work, and so I said, "Would you be interested in contributing to my collection by way of your photographs?" And he agreed. So this this book has his photographs. Bettina Flittner also, quite indirectly, she's a German photographer, but at the same time she's a lesbian photographer. So the queerness is not really direct. The queerness is not in your face. As opposed to this one, I think the queerness is pretty apparent, and there's an entire section devoted to sexuality. Just to give you a feel of what my work is like, the indirection of queerness, for instance, there is a lyric here. Let me read it to you, just to give you a sense of what the language feels like and how queerness informs the poetry. What it is, that's the title of the poem. What it is. What if I told you I don't know what it is I'm mourning? How it is that the stars are out, and in my heart a light rain is falling. Lifted finger you put on my lips, and walk me now to the station where commuters step into trains like tightrope walkers. Make me forget. Take me away. See the well-lit windows that recede from sight. The shirtless men, couples dining, the infamous theater in the evening news when the police walked in. How still they seem, how inviolate. Give me the secret of their impregnable fortress, the steadiness of their days. Let me eat like they eat, stand the way they stand. Let me smoke their cigarette, face the world like they air their bodies in cramped buildings. Let me drink as they drink. Let me live their lives. What if I told you I don't know what it is I'm mourning? How it is that the stars are out, and in my heart a light rain is falling. So it's a poem about someone who's lonely and who doesn't know what to do with his or her life. The persona is actually not clear, whether the persona's gender is male
or female. But one clue that lets us know that the work is queer is that reference to the theater. Although the reference is also quite general, right? Because the theater is not named. But it tells you that when the police target a theater, something is wrong, so-called with theater. It's a gay theater, in other words. It's a rundown theater. Until now it exists in Cubao. I forget the name, but from the train you can see it as you approach Cubao. And I think, you know, the queer happenings still take place in that theater. So the queerness in this collection is really indirect. But in the other one, I read that section as well in the previous session. But let me read that section again, just to give you a feel of the language. So this is the section where the boy is encountering his sexual awakening. And this is sexual awakening, mind you, in the late 80s, early 90s, in a remote province like Aklan. But you can see that the sexual culture there, 20 years ago, was pretty permissive. And you can have a sense of that in the fragments. So the section revolves around the meeting tree, which is also at the same time a mating tree. Under that tree you found him, the man who turned lover into boy. The Aspires Blancoi, also known as Mabolo, kin to ebony persimmon. Its fruit silky to the core, the form round, red, hirsute. In other places they called it velvet apple, butter fruit. How you loved its odor at high noon, traces of excrement arousing sweet hunger. Touch the bushy skin, said the old, and you would itch. But you didn't listen, picking it with your hand to rub it on your palm till the flesh shone, yours stinging. Because you knew even then the creamiest feeling began with burning. And there he was, when afternoons folding into dusks, the one who'd pick a boy like fruit fallen on his lap. He was among them, serial adulterers fitting their gaming birds with metal spurs, the jeweled seafarers waiting for calls to board European vessels, young studs with no future. It was their country, a cottage built around the tree where they indulged their boredom noisily, playing cards or celebrating a birthday when dogs got skinned and rum flowed till women arrived to fetch husbands and teams, scolding them on the way to their house. One of those nights, a boy feigned interests in roguery and walked into their country, drinking the drink, talking the talk, mastering the acts of manhood. The visit soon turned into addiction, the boy anointing the man to rape him. He'd stand near him, boy wiggling his way into his knees, face turned up for signs of understanding. A pat on the back, a stroke of silken hair. Then it took place, the night of the boy's fulfillment, as he guided the man's hand to his budding penis, newly cut. All the world's trees bloomed, airless sky imploding with fine pollen. He came home, drunk with a fickle whiff of velvet apples. The night was clear, the moon was shining. You were sucking him, you were sucking him. He was sucking you, the town was silent. A man and a boy dropped their bodies into the tidal basin, fed by river and sea. Sandbar keeping the water from turning too salty. The boy clung to the back of the man as he swam, liquid opening to swallow their weight. Away from other swimmers, they went to find a spot where the man could plant his feet in the silt. He'd stand, arms roiling to balance his form against the current. Then the boy released himself to disappear in the water, his mouth containing a hard, lustrous mass, the taste of oyster. Sex happened on nights without electricity, folks passing time on benches lining the street, a boy sitting next to a man, his small hand traveling in the dark from the thigh deep into the bend where the organ waited, wild with energy. This you learned from sneaking into a house to watch straight porn on Betamax, a sum paid at the door before entry. Shirtless men on bleachers not saying a word to each other, spellbound. When the screening ended, they depart as quietly as they came, you walking behind them, wondering, just wondering. Those days, you owned a body without guilt, a choice you'd invent. There were sins but not love, no law but need. So this was a pretty promiscuous boy who didn't care about what the entire town thought about, like his sexuality. So the book really explores human sexuality, but at the same time, it's not just about human sexuality. It's also about the conflicts in the town. So I guess the queerness that the book tries to present is more well-rounded and more situated, thicker, I suppose, as an experience. So that's how I approach queerness.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'd like to know how the rest of our speakers approach queerness as well.
Hi.
Yeah, Electromilk.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shin, and I'm a total dick slut. Just kidding. Yeah, just to awaken everyone. No, I'm not. Sometimes. Anyway, my work is, I would read the entire thing as well, but it's mostly drawing, so I can't. Yeah, I'm gonna probably demonstrate.
We can look through, yeah.
Anyway, it's gonna be quick, I promise. So one of my zines is All the Pretty Stars Shine With You, My Love. And if you will look closely, it's there's no other way to say it than it's mostly pornographic stuff, alright? It's lewd drawings from fantasies, and I will not show the more obscene pages, but you can buy them. Wink. Anyway, yeah, it's a collaboration work, so some of the works are by my friend Emil. He is the one who started this. His sketchbook is full of just obscene butt drawings, and so I said, let's make a zine of just jerk-off material, basically. It's the whole point of our zine. So, I guess, in a way, that's a queer voice. Nah, you know, that's what the gays want. The gays want dicks, so that's it.
How did you come?
It's a Lana Del Rey lyric, actually, which is the icon of all bottoms out there. And, yes,
Bottoms
so...
only.
I don't know.
Verse hindi pwede.
I don't know what verse of people. I haven't met a lot. Alright, but yes, so mostly just screen caps from porn, and we draw them and we're like, oh, this is hot, let's sell it. So that's it. And the other one is Good Boy. This is more dramatic, but pretty much the same thing. Just dramatic stuff from the voice of someone na hopelessly in love, maybe. And Good Boy, of course, we hear it a lot, but in a queer perspective, it's obviously more sexual. But just to clear it up, not all my works are potentially slutty. I have serious stuff as well. So drawings of men, basically. This one is more emotion-based, but the other one that most people pay attention to is really the lewd one, but that's fine. Just in the context nga of queer people na this is important in a way na different from poems na it's a voice na this is a thing as well. People like this, and it's not intended. People think that this is made to shock people, but actually it's quite the opposite. My goal is to just normalize the gay experience, that it's not a different field entirely. It's part of everyday culture. It's part of the world, and mostly on self-affirmation. In a way, na we're here, we exist, we like things just like everyone else, and especially in a society in which you are mostly censored, or people pretend queer people don't exist. It's always just male and female. So that is the voice I wanted to represent making this. But yeah, mostly just jerk of material. That's it. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, Richard, why don't you tell us about your comics? I hate to use the term, pero, Hugot has been associated with what you produce as well. So that's a different perspective also.
Hello, yeah, I'm Richard. Okay lang ba? Filipino na lang.
Oh, go.
To introduce myself lang, I'm Richard. I make comics, yeah. So, parang less more comics than, this is siguro one of the more, yung ginawa kong gay comic, I guess. It's called It's More Than That. Siguro ginawa ko siya, kasi parang matagal ako nagbibenta sa comic ko ng mga comics, yung pa-cute lang, papatawa, gano'n. And our events like Comic-Con, Comic-Con, gano'n. And usually kasi yung crowd doon, parang mga males. Di ba, mga parang, people who buy the usual stuff, yung Marvel, gano'n, DC stuff, gano'n. And parang, and if you notice, sa mga gano'ng conventions, parang, yeah, medyo very kulang yung mga works na, bakla, gano'n. So, siguro, yun parang, so I decided to make a comic, parang it's a personal comic na, siguro pumunta ba, ganun. So I made a comic na parang it's about a person na parang, ayun, may crush siya. may crush siya, pero parang I illustrated it in a way na, makita yung parang, yung journey niya din sa, journey niya na, yung ma-accept niya na crush na siya kasi ma-accept niya sa sarili niya na bakla siya. Ganun. And, ayun, so may jakol-jakol rin dito, ganun. Kaya,
So,
Pero I think one of your stories is about two best friends na guys, di ba?
yeah, this one.
Yeah. And then how, I think they like the same girl or something. Phil, mali naman yung synopsis mo eh.
Yung Easy Crush. So there's that trend. So we released it online, me and my friend Gabby. It's called Easy Crush. Sa Facebook siya, pwede tingnan. Type yun ng Easy Crush.
How autobiographical is that?
Wala naman.
So iba talaga yung hindi mo naranasan.
This is the more personal stuff. Pero yung Easy Crush, parang at first we made it na parang, ayun, pa-funny tayo, hugot, ganun. Pero eventually parang we made it into a Korean storyline na parang what if we made, one time we made the joke, parang we made parang mga punchline lang na what if the best friend of the guy actually liked him, ganun. And then after a while, parang we took it seriously and parang ayun, so bakla na siya, ganun. And ano sabihin? Ayun, so parang I guess those kinds of things are medyo it's not something na usually nakikita mo sa comic scene, ganun. I think there's not a lot of Filipino comic works na yung ganun.
Tell me how you got to publishing it. Like, yung publishing house ng comics na yan, do they do they deal with a lot of similar material, or
Ano?
ito yung
Um,
ito yung parang soul queer voice in that?
It's independently published. So ako lang nag-print.
So sorry.
It's independently published lang. So ako lang yung nag-print.
So you do everything.
From I think parang everything from the printing, from getting the print, from selling it, ganun. So medyo sarili-sarili siya. And usually most of the comics in DC, ganun din siya.
Because I'm wondering if you tried actually pitching this story to one of the bigger comics publishing houses, or talagang hindi kaya, like mahirap talaga, so which is why you decided to do it independently. Why did you decide to go about it independently?
I think resources muna siguro. Parang I wasn't really sure na I wasn't really sure if ano sabihin na I could actually get it published ganon na in a larger scale ganon. And I never, and parang yung works ko usually parang I never really thought of it na yun publish it in a grander scale, I guess siguro in the future ganon.
So it's like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah. I think most people na comics people, medyo ganun na yung mindset nila. Yung medyo fuck it. Gawin ko lang kasi parang wala namang, yung parang wala rin namang kukuha sa'yo, ganun. So parang, most people, I guess, parang wala namang magpa-publish sa kanila, parang very rare yung chance na ganun. So parang most of them, us, me included, and parang we just publish it ourselves.
Yeah, same here. No, but Charlie, you published with the Ateneo Press. I'm wondering how you began this relationship with them. Whether they sought you out, or if this was something, or if your work is something you pitched. Because, for example, in journalism, we have to go about like a whole pitching thing with all of the. If you're a freelance writer, that is, you pitch stories to different media outlets. Is it? I mean, for poets. How do you go about getting published? How did you start out?
Well, I think I need to clarify I'm not a professional poet. I didn't even get a degree in creative writing. I hardly attended writing workshops. I was never the mentee of a great Filipino writer. I was just writing, and my first collection, the poems. Included in the first collection were written separately, and it never occurred to me that one day they would constitute a collection. So I was just writing, and then in 2012 someone was asking me, why don't you come up with a collection? And so I gathered all my poems, many of them, and published, and sent the manuscript to the university press. So there's a vetting process. And I didn't, like histories for instance, this was not classified as gay poetry.
Yeah.
So I just submitted the manuscript and waited for the evaluation from the university press. I was fortunate that the two readers saw the merit of the work. And that's why Ateneo Press decided to publish this. But an interesting story, I suppose, because we're talking about the life of the print today.
Yeah.
Right? Print is under siege. Originally, Ateneo Press wanted to publish the collection as an ebook, but I insisted on a print edition. And Ateneo Press had originally wanted to publish this as an ebook because they wanted to cut costs. It's expensive to publish a book, and poetry, before the publication of this book, and even today, but maybe that is changing, it's hard to sell poetry. So the print one, for instance, for a literary title, can only go as high as 200 copies. So if you sell 200 copies in the Philippines, that's a bestseller. But you know, I insisted on a print edition because the experience of holding a book is not the same as, you know, like looking at your screen or your laptop, your cell phone rather, or your laptop. And so you know, the board was asking me, if you could produce the market, then we would have a print edition. So single-handedly, I approached my friends and said, would you be willing to use this book for your classes? So I put myself out there. I had no connection. I had no literary friends. So I was just, you know, like this pioneering, as it were, pioneering guy who wanted his book to be read by people. Once I was able to produce the market, I told the university press, look, there are 800 orders for this book. So I think the orders are enough for you to decide to print book. So that's how I did it. It started with the first edition. It came out in 2015. 2 years later, there are more than 2,000 copies circulating. So I think that speaks to not just the success of the book, but a particular kind of bookmaking. You have a lot of pictures. You have a lot of empty spaces. Which is not like usual when you look at traditional publishing. For instance, you can't have like an empty page. But I insisted on empty pages because I was looking at the experience that could be generated when a reader is looking at an empty space. So
yeah, that's ballsy. I mean, you know,
I'm shameless. I think that's it's not like I promote myself shamelessly on my feed. When a review comes out, I post it. When a new edition is released, I also promote it. So my sense is that there's a lot of stigma associated with self-promotion. Because they say it's tasteless to do self-promotion. But I don't believe in that shit. You can self-promote all you want, but if the reader does not recognize the merit of the work is not going to fly.
Does that say something about how we have to promote queerness in the Philippines? Because you can't rely on traditional media to do it for you. You have to go out there, do door to door as you basically did. And tell people, oh, I have a queer, I have queer work. Here's something I'm putting out there. If you're interested, come over. Which, this is why I want to ask Electromilk why you decided to go with the zine format, and why not just go about it like create something digital, which is as your art shows, something talagang a lot of millennials will like anyway. Why still have it printed?
Because mostly when you print, you can sell them, you get money from it. Just kidding. But with print, because there's a stronger impact, especially if what you're doing is something that is not usually out there. It relates to people more. That it's because when you see something digital, it's there, but after 5 seconds, you forget it. You scroll down, you look at another link. But if it's printed, you can put it in your bag. It's in a table. It's just there. So it's more, in a way, it's alive. It's yes. Give me a hand. All right. It has a stronger, especially if what you're doing is something and it's not there. For example, you don't have a lot of comics dealing with those issues, and for someone just reading it, for another person with a different interest, they feel valid. Because that's the goal of all this and what you're doing. It's valid. It's valid to like aura, bam. All right, no, just kidding.
Yeah, we need more images like that.
Yeah, to these people, to a selected few na have access to it, it gives them the idea na what I like, especially for young, homosexual people or queer na.
Siguro, at least with Easy Crush, ganun. Actually, if you guys want to read, go lang, pasa ko lang. Saka, kung ano na, yes, want to browse, ganun na to. So, with Easy Crush, ganun, parang, I think there's actually like a huge market for it. Parang there's actually a lot of people who want to read about the gays.
Yeah.
And parang, ayun, parang siguro that's a little bit comforting on my side na, ayun, na parang I can, parang pwede ako magbakla sa ginagawa ko, pwede ko ilabas yung pagkabakla ko sa drawing ko. And people will actually like it, and parang at least for parang millennials, parang mga, yung mas bata na people na parang there's a huge market for it. So parang, yeah.
But this is something you discovered kasi you promoted your work through social media, right?
Yes.
From what I know, yung Easy Crush, for example, ang dami nag-share nun through, was it Twitter or Facebook? So that echoes what Charlie was saying about how, it's like self-promotion just has to go with it, what we do. Like we do love print, but talagang in order for it to prosper, digital is so important.
I think both as a queer artist and as a comic artist, parang very important yung self-promotion talaga. Kasi sino yung mag-promote sa'yo kaysa sarili mo.
Oh, exactly.
In this print industry, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk about the feedback you've gotten? Like you mentioned a while ago that, may market talaga to. Can you talk about your market? Like, are these younger people who are still, going through the coming out struggles? Or is it more diverse than that? Like, who...
I think kasi, well, sa Easy Crush, parang, ano yung mga anime, gano'n, mga BL, mga love, gano'n, parang, maraming girl fans yun. So parang, well, yeah, parang mix na yun. Girls, hindi na. Mga girls, mga gays, gano'n. So parang mix na siya. Parang, usually maraming, parang, it's surprising, maraming parang girls na parang kinikilig sila pag parang, yung parang yung mga gusto kong, parang, characters, ay bakla pala sila, gano'n, parang gano'n. Di ba maraming gano'n na pag-anime or K-pop, gano'n, parang pinapair-pair nila yung mga ano nila kasi, di ba ka? And I think yun yung nagdala sa, at least for Easy Crush, yun yung nagdala na parang for its popularity.
Charlie, what about you? Like, what is the queer poetry scene looking like right now in the Philippines? Are we lacking in voices, or, I mean, could you speak about what people can look forward to?
I think the tradition is in place, and that's thanks to people like Neil Garcia and Denton Remoto. We know the success, for instance, of the Blood series, right? Best-selling anthologies tackling homosexuality in the Philippines. So there is the tradition. Courses are being taught at universities. So those courses are going to generate readerships for gay or queer literature. So it's thriving, I think. But maybe the challenge for us today, I don't know, just as an outsider thinking about these things, maybe the challenge is to go beyond the queer. Queerness is a marginal experience, but by focusing on the niche, we run the risks of marginalizing ourselves. In other words, becoming inaccessible to others who may not be queer. For the poetry that I do, it's poetry that's accessible. And it's poetry that may have a queer content, but at the same time, it also responds to other needs. Like for example, boyhood is also about, the agrarian conflict that you can find in a place like Aklan, in a place like the Philippines. So diversifying, I suppose, is also.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, where if we stick too much to the classification queer, we run the risk of alienating whoever isn't, right? But do you think, I want to know if you guys think that the term is important right now, or if you even, is it important to you? that your work falls under this umbrella? Should we, I don't know, do away with it? Should we celebrate it? What are your thoughts?
I'm working now on a collection. It's a new one, and this one is explicitly queer because it talks about love at 40. I'm 40 years old. I never thought I would fall in love again at 40. So it's a collection that explores the notion of love at a certain age. So how exactly is like what's the experience of falling in love at 40? The collection is devoted to that question. So it's explicitly queer. I think more queer than my two previous collections. Currently, I'm working on a fragment exploring Grindr, like my life, like when I was using Grindr. That's toward the end of the collection. I'm almost done with it. It's a work in progress, but it's explicitly queer. But there are others who have read some fragments, and they can relate to the fragments even if they're not even if they're not queer. So in my work, I'm always aware that I need to reach out to other readers, that I need to connect to my readers no matter what the identity of my readers may be. Is here.
See, Bernadette Neri has just joined us. Welcome. Sorry about the traffic. Yeah. So just to, I was asking our other speakers here why the term queer is important, and I know that the work that you've made is you've had a collection of short stories na lesbian themed. And at the same time, you've also written a children's book that's, about two moms taking care of their child. How do you feel about the term queer and your work falling under it? Or is it important for you na talagang to embrace the lesbian? Is your work being lesbian? How do you what do you want your work to be known as more?
Hello.
Hello.
So, basa pa mula sa ulan ng Quezon City, ganyan. Anyway, yan. Mahalaga yung konsepto ng queer, yung konsepto ng iba. Kasi hanggat iba, yung sektor na kinabibilangan ko, isa akong tibo, lesbiana, hanggat iba ang turing sa sektor ng LGBT, QIA++, ganyan. Hanggat iba yung turing doon, napakahalaga nitong matalakay kasi hindi nararapat na ituring na iba ang itinuturing ngayong iba. So, siguro bilang bahagi ng pagkilala doon sa napakahabang panahon na naisasantabi yung LGBT, hindi lang sa kasaysayan, kung hindi sa espasyong panlipunan, iba't ibang institusyon, pamilya, paaralan, relihiyon, lalong-lalo na batas, no? Hanggang sa kasalukuyan, wala pa rin tayong batas, no? Sa pamahalaan ay limitado na yung ating representasyon. So yung isang mahalagang lunsaran, no? Kung paano natin itatampok, no? Yung hindi pinakikinggan ay ang panitikan. Kaya doon pumapasok, doon talaga ako namumuhunan ng aking lakas, ganyan, kung anong meron akong may babahagi, no? Bilang lesbiana, doon ko pinapasok talaga. Kasi maaaring hindi ko naabutan, no, sa buhay na ito, pero pangako, no, ng tinatanaw, no, para dun sa mga susunod na tao, ng mga bata. Kaya lumilikha rin ng mga kwentong pambata na sana sa panahon nila, ang iba ay karaniwan at tinuturing na bilang kapantay. Yan po.
Thank you. Kayo, Richard, Shin, how do you feel about yung queer na term? And your work being classified under that?
Sorry, what's the question again?
How do you feel about the word queer? Do you think it's something that is still helpful in classifying your work? Or do you see a future na like to do away with it?
Siguro for now, yung I mean, parang when making this, parang when making my comics, parang hindi ko naman siya ginawa specifically na in life na parang kasi bakla ako, ganun, susulat. Pero parang dahil bakla ako, yun parang dahil queer nga ako, parang eventually lumalabas siya as queer. Gets ba yung ano?
So happened lang na yun nga, queer
so
siya.
parang, kunyari, when someone falls in love, ganun, knowing ka ng love story, ganun. It just so happened na, yung story mo about a gay person, pero it's technically, ginawa mo lang. Hindi mo siya ginawa specifically kasi, inisip mo yung parang, bakla ako. Pero inisip ko na parang, ito yung story ko, ganun. So, it just so happened na, like, ganun siya.
Ikaw, Shin, I mean, explicitly gay or queer naman yung work mo, especially because a lot of it is pornographic. Pero,
Not a lot, just this one.
Huwag ka na
I have like 7 zines, 5. This is the only one that's,
ngayon, back up ka na.
No, really. It's just this is what I brought kasi this on topic. Pero I have a lot of wholesome work.
Okay, but do you think the term queer is helpful in
yeah.
classifying your work?
Same sentiments as him na during the creative process, you don't really try as that. Then let it be kasi it has to be recognized. We can when people say na it has to be accepted generally, of course that's better and okay siya kahit anong genre, that's good. But at the same time, we have to be firm on what we have. Same way na when you watch TV, everything yun nga is catered towards heterosexual people. It's not wrong to put out something that, you know what, this is for the gays. Parang that's courage in a way, and we need that. We need this power na this is not for you and you should get over yourself being straight na. Especially when I'm selling my work kasi straight, people, kasi ang context po ito ay mga zine fair, mga bazaar. You have tables na people go there, they buy. They look at it, and if it's men, always they joke to each other in front of me na, oh look, this is for you. And they're both streets. So to them, it's a laughing matter. Iba na like, pre, parang ito, ganyan. It's like, pre. And if it's a girl, it's the same, oh my God, it's a penis, ganyan. And then they take a picture, they look at it, they smile, they don't buy it. So, fuck you, straight people. Joke lang. Joke lang. But yeah, if it's just gay, and that is fine. I'm not looking for, yun nga, may works naman akong for everyone, but let it be na, let them think na this is, it makes us valid in a way, it makes us stronger, I think.
For sure. I think at the end of the day, ang habol naman natin is visibility. I think to make a stand, to embrace the term right now is a way to show our solidarity as community. Pero, I want to know from Ma'am Bernadette, Ma'am, kasi yung kay Shin and yung kay Richard is independently published. But your children's book, is that also independent? Okay.
Yes,
What I wanted to ask in relation, kasi since it's a children's book, how challenging was getting the project off the ground? If kung may struggles lang.
Mas sobra pa sa biyahe. Punta dito. Hindi, yan. Ano ba? Nasulat yung kwento 2006 at na-publish lang siya noong 2012 at nananatili siyang independent maging sa distribution kasi nga ang una mahal siyang i-publish kasi siya full color lahat. Tapos mas makapal yung papel at iba pa. Mahirap maghanap ng printing press na may tiwala doon sa teksto din kaya bababaan niya yung presyo kasi negosyo yung mga tao parang ganoon. So, mahirap yung proseso kasi yung production ay napakamahal. So, kinailangan kong mag-ipon, magpapayat, magkumain, ganyan. Bawasan ng lahat ng maghubad sa luho, ganyan. Para ma-afford yung production. So, yun yung unang challenge na pag-produce. Pangalawa, ay may mas nauna palang challenge doon kasi nalathala naman siya bilang teksto sa mga antolohiya. Gayunpaman, dahil siya isang kwentong pambata, hindi mo magbabasa ng journal, academic journal, halimbawa, ang mga bata. So, yung sa akin, gusto ko talaga siyang mailabas bilang children's book. Kaya may illustration, ganyan. So, yung time na, wala ka naman kasing pera eh. Hindi ako mayaman. So, wala kang money. So, ang nangyari ay, nagkataon lang na yung artist, si CJ De Silva, nabasa niya yung text, tas nalaman niya na, ay, hindi pa pala ito na, hindi pa pala siya napapublish. Mag-volunteer ako. So, hinanap niya ako. Tas, okay. So, dahil voluntary, so, yung ang sinagot lang namin ay yung material na gagamitin niya. So, yun, no? So, kinakailangan ng mga tao rin na naniniwala dun sa text. Mula dun sa illustrator, doon sa tagasalin, hanggang doon sa nag-layout, at even yung nag-print nga, kung kaya nilang voluntaryo, gagawin nila. Mahirap lang siguro yung sa print kasi mahal siya talagang gawin. So, liban pa doon, mahirap siyang isell sa mga malalaking bookstores katulad ng NBS. I'm so sorry, kailangan ko sabihin.
Ilabas na lahat.
Kasi
Kasi actually gusto ko rin tanong, may queer section din ba yung NBS? Meron ba? Puta. Sorry, please continue.
Kasi ang hiniling nila ay kalahati ng production cost. Oops. Sorry, okay lang. Keps naman ako doon. So, kaya ang distribution nito ay online. So, may mag-order, papadala mo, ganyan. So, ganun siya nangyayari. At, kasi nga, kapag ibinenta siya sa ganung paraan, ay hindi makakover yung production cost at mahihinto yung proseso ng production. Unlike kasi sa ibang mga academic, sa academic publication kasi, kinakailangan libro. Pag sinabing libro, kunwari sa UP Press, ewan ko kung ganun din sa Ateneo Press, ganyan. Pero pag sa UP Press, 99 pages at least. So, hindi ito libro. Hindi libro ang panitikang ang aklat na pambata kasi hindi siya aabot ng 79 na pahina. So, hindi rin siya. Kaya, kunwari, sa isang manunulat na lumilikha ng mga teksto na sinasabing kontrobersyal sa punto de vista ng mainstream publication houses, talagang kinakailangan nung lumabas. Kasi nga, hindi ka mailalathala. So, pinasa din ito dun sa mga mainstream publication houses nga, dun sa pagitan ng 2006 hanggang 2012. Pero nire-reject siya, ganyan. Parang si Ma'am Judy Tagiwala lang, nire-reject, ganyan, kahit may kausa naman. So, siya, no? Kaya, katulad siguro nung ibang mga kasamahan dito, dahil walang espasyo, talagang igigiit natin siya. No? Kasi, walang iba eh. Walang ibang paraan. Hihintayin ba natin magbukas ang simbahan para pag-usapan ang LGBT, ang paaralan, ng pamantasan? Hindi. Kasi kinakailangan, ginigiit siya talaga. So, ganun yung karanasan ng publikasyon ng ikakit sa aming hardin. At ang masaya lang dito, nasa third printing, ito yung third batch ng pagkaka-printing. Kasi yung second batch nasunog sa FC. So, oo, ang sad. Diba? Ang lungkot na. Pero ayan, masaya naman. Kasi ang maganda rin dito, may mga paaralan na matapang enough na isama sila doon sa babasahin.
Like for example, anong schools to? Like,
may mga pero parang classes lang sila eh. So, may mga klase sa Lasal, sa Saints Co, sa Davao. May mga ganun na iba-ibang lugar. Pero yung school talaga yung nag-order. Montessori, OB, Montessori. So, oo, pero lang, limitado pa yun. Pero, saya. Sabi ko, saan yung tuturo yan? Paano yung tuturo? Tapos, akala ko tungkol sa family, sa values, ganyan. Tapos, Filipino. Pero okay na rin. Kasi, at least, no, yung napiling teksto ay wika. Tapos, etnisidad, tas kasarian talaga na yung pinakatampok. Ayun.
Okay. So, saan natin kunyari may interested na bumili niyan, where can they find it? Do you sell online? Kasi yung iba, like, Kaya you said online also, right?
Ayun, pwede niyo puntahan ang Facebook page ng Ikaklit. Tapos nag-order, nagpa-place lang ng order doon. May pwedeng i-pick up, pwede rin delivery, depende sa trip ninyo sa buhay. Pwede rin siyang mabili actually sa UP Press Bookstore, tsaka sa UP Center for Women's and Gender Studies. Kung mapabadbad kayo sa Baguio, meron sa Mount Cloud Bookshop. So popular bookstore, yung mga maliliit lang talaga. Yung, okay, tumatanggap sila ng ganung consign. Nagko-consign, pwede ka magpa-consign. Maliliit lang. Ayun.
Okay. I want to ask the rest of you kung ano yung plans nyo in how you distribute your work. Like Richard, solely online fairs ba? What are the best ways you get to reach out to people and sell your work?
Ako ma'am, kasi since comics siya, so comic conventions, gano'n. Siguro this October punta ako sa comic November sa Comic Con. Yun, siguro kasi since yung market ko, besides being clear na it's for comics, people who want to read comics na lang. So sa Comic Con siya. Gusto ko rin i-try yung parang sa kanang bebenta sa BLTX. Yeah. So usually yung mga kung those are the places where most people sell independently published comics. Yeah.
You can reach me through Grindr. Oh my god, my father would be very disappointed at this moment. Anyway, same fairs, zine fairs, ganun, just as other people say, just follow my Facebook page, ganun. But really, just zine events and online as well, order, so you can access my nicer stuff as well. Yes.
Charlie.
How to promote the work? I think create a work that's beautiful, create a work that's excellent, and then that will take care of itself. Make sure that when you produce something, it's pleasing, it's good to look at, it's good to hold, it's good to read. So quality, excellence, art, never compromise the art of your work.
And always reach out to your Facebook friends.
Yes.
They could buy it.
Yeah, put yourself out there. If you believe in your work, promote it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna open this discussion up to the audience. Please ask your questions if you have any for our speakers here. I'm gonna pass the mic around, but okay, we have our first question from Team's Editor-at-Large, Vic Platon.
Hi, I'd like to thank the panelists for joining us this evening. I want to ask lang the two younger panelists on stage. Kasi like kami ni Charlie, we're on the mas older generation. For you younger guys, where do you think the queer narrative in literature, in Pinoy literature would head? Kasi when we were growing up, like yun yung ang ladlad, ganyan, it's all about like coming out, self-acceptance.
One question first is, can I know about your ages? Okay. The reason for the age is because that would reflect likewise in terms of generation gap. Because like me, I'm already 50. During my time, I remember one kissing scene between two guys, and the whole audience in the movie is, nowadays when I watch two guys kissing in the movie, no reaction. Okay, that's why I ask, I'm curious about the age. Second, we're talking about the print, and the my question here is profitability. Okay, you're saying that there's a market. How profitable is the market? How would you see that? Because likewise, if we go, as I listen to the four of you, I think you're pushing your poetry, but it was not pushing like, it's queer, so please buy my poetry. It's more of, it's poetry, buy it. It just so happens that it's queer. I look at the, like with this book, so it's not saying that, please buy it because it's talking about tomboy or something. It's more of openness, acceptance. Okay, and likewise, if look at that, it's two languages. Then it's a good reading that this is the English version, this is the Tagalog version. So what I see in the four are different. Like with Richard, it just so happens that more of awakening. But with Electromilk, it was really, this is gay love. This is gay, at least for the magazine. So that's why I would like to know age. So because that will point of view. Second, profitability of the market.
I'm 40 years old. I'm happy about it. I'm fortunate that the university press is not a for-profit institution. So profit really is not a huge consideration, but the university press needs to stay afloat. And I think what the books are suggesting is that there is a market for this kind of poetry, and poetry that also has references to queerness.
Yes, I am 23 po. Yes, 23. And as far as profitability, it's not really, kasi nga it's not mainstream. We only get to sell pag events, and online, which is very rare, it doesn't really sell. I mean, it doesn't, you can't rely on it to earn money. Talagang it's just for, at least in our case, distribution talaga siya na you print it, you get just enough pretty much to print it again. So it sounds very, maybe you think just being hypocritical or dramatic, but talagang, in my experience, talagang just for sharing siya. Kasi you can place ads on, kasi nga, it's self-published. So talagang, for the love talaga yung nangyayari, and or in my case for the lust, because that's you're judging me anyway, Paolo. So yeah, but really it's I don't know about the others, pero in my case talagang just for to keep it going, to keep it sharing, and yun, hopefully someday maging mas profitable siya in the market. But yun nga, for now kasi the large corporations, they don't see anything gay as sellable, they don't see it as that. So talaga ngayon, we have to rely on the indie and the community who support it. Yun lang talaga for now.
Yeah, I'm 22. Profitability. Kaya kumikita. Pero, I mean, yung kumikita na tipong, kasi self-published, so parang just enough to to reprint, na parang may konting kita ka, pwede ka mag-dinner after ng event, gano'n, that's about it. Pero, I mean, yun nga, at least parang, and siguro yung situation ko as a self-published artist, parang hindi naman dahil queer siya, it's more of dahil most of us sa comic industry, the indie, yung hindi naman kung indie ka, self-published ka, hindi ka naman super kikita talaga ng marami. Yeah, pero kakayanin naman mag-reprint. Yeah. Pang LRT, gano'n.
33. Yung sa karanasan ko, yung paglalathala ng aklat at yung halaga kung magkano siya ibinebenta ay yung production cost lang. Ang goal ko kasi talaga ay makarating siya sa mga bata sa murang halaga, kung nakakayanin, kung mayaman lang ako, lilibre ko silang lahat, parang ganyan. Pero hindi kasi marireprint kapag pinamigay. So, ang ginagawa, yung production cost, at yung bawat copy ay 120. Maganda yung artwork, maganda yung papel. Kasi kailangan din, gusto kong matagal siyang, pag pinasa mo sa ibang bata, medyo maraming mapapagpasahan, parang gano'n. So, mas lugi siya kaysa kumikita. Tulak talaga siya ng, ako pinaniniwalaan ko bilang isang guro, manunulat, lesbiana, aktivista, na kinakailangan, kung may tinatanaw kang hinaharap, at ako ang tinatanaw ko ay malayang kinabukasan, malaya sa diskriminasyon, may pagkakapantay-pantay. Kung tinatanong mo talaga siya, ibubuhos mo talaga kung ano yung kaya mo ibuhos. Parang gano'n. So, walang kita talaga. So, talagang iniipon siya ng iniipon. At maganda sana kung may espasyo para sa distribusyon ng ganitong uring mga akda kasi mas mabilis maabot no yung layunin. Pero kung wala, hindi naman hihinto. Parang ganun.
Ako, I'll speak from our depressing experiences with team. We've been up for 2 years, and I think nasa point na kami na we've just decided we can't look at it as a business anymore. It's really like kung ano lang pera ang makuha mo, and then kung makakapag-print ka, great. Pero wala ka talagang makukuha in terms of sales. Even advertising now is so hard. I mean, even in print magazine publishing, ang daming nagko-close eh. I think Esquire is closing. I think ano pa ba? L'Officiel, yung mga ganyan. A lot of magazines are closing, and imagine how difficult it is for us as a gay magazine. So, you know, we're trying to look at other revenue streams. Magfa-fundraiser kami soon for our 10th and possibly final issue. We'll see. And yeah, that should paint a picture of profitability for a queer publication. I hope that answers your question. Anything else?
How old are you?
And I'm turning 33 tomorrow. Yay!
I think we have time for one last
question. Sige.
Thank you for sharing with us your experiences. I have 2 questions if I can ask. No? One is, in the term queer nga, parang, do you think it will really be accepted in Philippine society? Because I know as an academic also that the term queer really comes from academia, and then it's used in certain fields. Kung di pa nga natin we cannot even agree on gay or bisexual or trans and all that, can we hope in the future to even agree upon the term queer, and will it be accepted? I mean, what's so that's one question. The other one is, as publishers or writers about being gay or lesbian, do you experience any kind of personally mga attacks or discrimination from other people, and how do you deal with those?
Unahin ko yung huli. Huling tanong eh. Sobrang dami. Yung unang bilang individual, of course, madami. Simula ng pagkabata ako, binubuli ako, at lahat. No? Kaya nga, may pagtatago palagi hanggat kaya. Hanggang sa dumating na yung pagkakataon na, uy, may community pala, theater organ, na pwedeng tumanggap sa iyo, edi, magwala ka na, parang ganyan. Pero ang dami nun, ang daming ganong kaso ng diskriminasyon hanggang sa nagtuturo ako, no? Pwede akong mag-file ng sexual harassment cases, mga ganyan, no? Kasi nga, akala nila okay lang na, may mga pahayag na akala nila ay okay lang, pero hindi. Sexually harassing siya, mga ganon. At may mga nanggaling din sa kapwa-guro. Kaya mas nakaka-lurks kasi nasa institusyon kang nagtuturo, pero ganyan yung iyong pagkatao, parang gano'n. So marami. Kaya nga, yun din yung drive na magsulat at palawakin yung mga taong makakaabot nung gusto mong mangyari na wala na sana yung diskriminasyon, parang gano'n. Kaya nagsusulat. At dun sa pagsusulat, syempre yung rejections na may publish siya na mainstream publication houses na para sa kwentong pambata, isang siyang ng diskriminasyon kasi ang sinasabi, well, hindi naman nila direktang sinulat, no? Pero kasi hindi naman kailangan explain mga sarili nila. Pero yung tingin ng mga kapwa guro dun sa pangyayari ay dahil kinakailangan nila ng mabebentahan at dahil madalas ang binebentahan ng mga sectarian na ng mga school, kinakailangang hindi bebenta yung ikaklit. Parang gano'n. So, ito ay iba't ibang ng diskriminasyon ng atake. At syempre, may mga atake din na, bakit ka nagsusulat ng ganyan? So, kunwari yung mga pwedeng magpadala kasi sa page, ganyan, tapos may email address din na pwedeng magpadala ng puna. So, may mga gano'n. Pinupull out yung libro kung saan ka nag-donate na library. So, nawawala sila bigla. May mga gano'n. So, yun na lang siguro para ba?
For discrimination pa. Siguro sa akin, parang hindi naman parang random comments na parang, ay, nagiging bakla na, ayoko na, parang gano'n. Pero parang aatakihin naman sila, so parang okay lang. So, yun rin, parang, yeah, there's discrimination, pero there's a whole community naman that also protects you naman. In a way, I guess. Ayun, yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have enough time. So,
if you have questions for anybody, can they approach you guys after? Okay lang.
Yeah, so once again, we'd like to thank everyone for coming here.